So today I want to talk about bravery and about courage and about the wisdom to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. And usually kids can pick up on this stuff, but as you get older, there's a lot of conflicts that occur. You get distracted. You just want to pass or make the grade, or it's easier just to be quiet. But when you see in the Old Testament these really big battles, like huge, Goliath is standing there before David and he's cursing David and the Israelites by his God because he has, I think, gods with an S, lowercase g. Goliath has gods, but they're different than, and none of them are David's God. And so he's cursing him by his own gods, but then he loses. And the answer that David gives is very directly not David's strength. It's not his ability and his skill and how big he is. He's saying to Goliath, I see that you're big. I see that you loom large. I see that you have a big army behind you, but you're not as big as my God. And I don't have gods with an S. My God has a capital G. This is just me paraphrasing. And he's going to defeat you. He's the one who's going to defeat you because he's our God. He's defeated. They've seen this time and again. They know this is how God operates. Same thing with Elijah. Elijah was standing there and he had all these different prophets of Baal against him and he was the one. And he basically mocks their gods and says, where's your God? Is he in the bathroom? What's wrong with He literally is implying that their God is in the bathroom. He doesn't know where the God is because the challenge is have fire come from the sky and light this particular place, these logs. Well, all these different prophets do a song and a dance, and they can't get their God as long, many hours. They can't get their gods to do this challenge. Well, Elijah stands up, mocks them, and then puts water over the logs. He puts water over the logs, drenches them, and then calls down fire from the sky in his God's name. Okay, so these are huge examples. There's many examples like this. There's the 3 Hebrew boys. There's all kinds of examples where people say, here's the challenge, you have to bow. And even though it is said over and over again in the Old Testament in 5 million different ways where God is basically making clear he's a jealous God. And if anybody challenges who your God is comparative to their gods, you are to answer to them and let them know, your gods are not my gods. This challenge came up in a situation they were in, and they answered, basically letting people know, this is my God, your gods are not mine. Because this was a tiny little opportunity that this world was given to sneak into a person's life, just like that snake on the tree. Put up an idea and make it all abstract and educational and everything. And say, okay, now we're all going to have an activity, and the activity is we're going to pretend like these are our gods. And but when we talk about these gods and talk to these gods and pray to them, which God would you want and what would you wish for? Wow. But to be the child who says, your gods are not my gods, I want nothing from them. Do you understand the sainthood that's within that? It is wild because what the Old Testament is talking about, children see it and they exemplify it. And they just get it. An adult wouldn't have caught it. There are people going to get their bachelor's degree that are failing this battle every single paper they write. They are worshiping all the gods. They're telling all the gods what they want, and they have no idea that they're doing it. But kids caught it. A kid caught it. So this reminded me of having childlike faith, seeing things as they are, not as you wish them to be, and taking what you hear and embodying it. David did that. And I know it's easier if it's a huge battle and there's a real big army, but boy, isn't that tricky. Sneak something past a bunch of kids. That's so scary to me. There's something so scary about it, but there's something so illuminating in the fact a kid caught it and said, guess what? Your gods are not my gods. There's a battle that's being won in that, fighting for your God when nobody saw there was a battle, and standing up for your God when nobody saw the opportunity. And we have to see those opportunities, especially as adults, since we're like stuck in 5 million different things, and it will just sneak right by into your children's classrooms, into here, there, everywhere. And you have to catch it. And you guys say, okay, this is my opportunity. This is my King David moment to say, whatever those gods are, they're not mine. You could take the S, remove it, and give it a capital G and call it the God of Israel, and his name is Jesus, because that's who I worship. So this is what I want to encourage you with today, and maybe meditate upon. Look upon your life, things that are around you. Decide and pay attention and decide from this moment forward, where is it that the enemy is trying to playfully, kindly, sweetly challenge my God and who he is to me? I hope I'm not saying that in vain, but our God, I should say, actually. There's a battle there where I could have that King David moment, that Elijah moment, but I've chosen to not see it for what it is. I don't see the looming army. I don't see the challenge. And man, I need this bachelor's degree. Man, I need to get this paper to have an A. Because if we all see that, those little tiny battles for what they really are, it will bring you up to the next level spiritually, or you'll start to feel more confident in fighting the other ones. As somebody who really wasn't even a very firm believer in Christ at the time, I would challenge people online about God regularly. This was after I became, after I was an atheist. I wasn't a Christian really, but I was in between, and I used to challenge people because I understood there was a cognitive dissonance in what people were saying. They weren't connecting dots, like there was no thread through with their logic, how they wanted certain things out of society that only the belief in religion or a God or something greater than you would actually bring. And so I should challenge this on an intellectual level. But on some level, I started to realize, okay, I'm actually fighting for God. Well, who is my God? Who is he? And so this started me on a journey back into what I was raised into, which is Christianity, Catholicism. Now I'm trying to become Orthodox, all this. But that started with me fighting battles, not even knowing why or for how, but I saw them everywhere. People who didn't make sense, not logical. And that bothered me. But then I started going, well, who am I fighting for? It's not for me. It doesn't change anything with me. It was for him. Do that consciously. Don't do it by accident. Consciously look around and say, what battle today has snuck in, thought it could kind of hang out here and challenge who my God is, and I have to push that right back out the door and let whatever principality that is, idea, concept, or challenge or battle, I have to let it know who my God is and that I serve him and him alone. This is Linda of Christ as King Forever. May God be with you.